Daily punches cost check.
We all love the drama that happens in the UFC. Most of the time, it's all fun and games, with the occasional scuffle between fighters. But sometimes, people can go too far. This is usually rare, but there are a surprising amount of fighters that get banned from the UFC for life because of their behavior. This can be because of a number of reasons, all of which we'll get into later in the video. Today, we'll be talking about MMA fighters that are forever banned from the UFC. If you want to know who made it on our list, keep watching. Before we begin this video, if you enjoy content like this, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And please make sure to turn on post notifications so you can be the first to hear about my next video. Alright, let's get into it. Number 1. Jason High. UFC President Dana White gets especially angry when a fighter argues or has an altercation with referees, which is unfortunately exactly what happened with Jason High. High shoved his referee, Kevin Mulhall, after disagreeing with a TKO stoppage in his match against Rafael dos Anjos in 2014. White was so furious that apparently during the fight he kept saying, "He's cut, he's cut." In an interview afterwards he said, "You don't ever touch a referee." He's been apologizing on Twitter, but he's done here. White has also repeated this several times after the incident, and if there's one thing we know about him, it's that he doesn't change his mind, no matter how sorry the fighter is. High was banned from the UFC, and it's pretty unlikely that we'll ever see him on UFC grounds again. Better watch out before arguing with the referee. Number 2. Paul Daly. Paul Semtex Daly was a rising star in the UFC in 2010, but was banned shortly after UFC 113 in Montreal. And president of the UFC, Dana White, was furious. After Daly lost to Josh Koscheck in their welterweight bout, a bitter Daly sucker punched his opponent, which is against the rules and also a little bit childish. White was having none of this and stuck to his word, banning Daly from the UFC and all future UFC fights. In an interview following, White said that he doesn't care if Daly becomes the best and fights all over the world, and if everybody thinks he's the best pound for pound in the world, he will never fight in the UFC again. Who would have thought that one sucker punch would lead to so much trouble? Although it definitely was an unprofessional move and Daly was definitely punished for it. Daly currently fights for Bellator and has a professional record of 42 wins, 17 losses, and 2 knockouts. Number 3. Rosamar Paul Harris. Like Daly, Paul Harris was banned from the UFC because of his unprofessional conduct in the octagon, something which a lot of UFC fighters seem to take their chances with. The Brazilian fighter had a lot of skill and talent, and it's no surprise that he is assigned to the UFC. However, he always liked to submit other fighters and not release them after they tapped out. That's a pretty frowned upon thing to do, and Paul Harris had quite a history of doing it. In 2010, he was suspended for 90 days after his win at UFC 111 over Tomas Drawl, after refusing to let go of a heel hook. You'd think he'd learned his lesson, but unfortunately, Paul Harris did not. In 2013, he yet again submitted another fighter, this time Mike Pierce, for 13 seconds and refused to let go. Dana White was so upset that he cut him immediately and banned him from all future UFC events. When asked if he would ever fight in the UFC again, White said he's done. Clearly, White was upset because this was the second time it happened, even after the first warning. I guess we won't be seeing Paul Harris in the UFC again. Number 4. Matt Riddle. Riddle was a pretty successful fighter in the UFC, although his career was short-lived after his 4-win streak due to 2 drug tests that turned up positive. Drugs are a serious offense in all sports, especially in the UFC. And drug testing is taken very seriously. Having 2 positive drug tests is pretty much game over for any player, no matter how good they are in the ring. Riddle was never officially banned, but Dana White's wrath says differently. The UFC president told the press that he would never come back, and also called him a moron, then following it up by saying, "I'll make it easy for him. We won't ever ask him to come back." Yikes. So it looks like he won't be seeing any more of Riddle in the ring, no matter how many drug tests he takes now. However, he's still doing pretty well for himself, as Riddle is now signed to WWE and performs with their NXT brand. Number 5. Michael Graves. This is another fighter who had huge potential and was only set to grow in the UFC, had he stayed. Graves was set to fight Sergio Morales at UFC 100, which would have been an incredible opportunity for him. Unfortunately, the fight was canceled when Graves was arrested on the grounds of misdemeanor and battery charges. This is another thing that the UFC takes very seriously, so they were determined not to let him fight, and he was later released from the promotion altogether. As much as we would have liked to see how Graves would have fought, it doesn't look like we'll ever see him fight with the UFC again. Number 6. Ruslan Magomedov. Magomedov is from Russia and was previously part of the UFC's heavyweight division. Although he was a highly skilled fighter on his way to success, he was banned from the UFC following multiple doping violations. Another huge no-no in the UFC. The first violation was in 2016, where Magomedov received a 2-year ban when he tested positive for a substance that was designed to help muscle growth, similar to steroids, which are also banned in the UFC. In October of 2018, when he returned, he still didn't learn and got tested positive for 2 steroid metabolites. However, he still wasn't completely banned. The last straw was the following year in February when he refused to give samples. The USADA banned him for life, making sure that he was unable to fight in the UFC again. Although we never truly got to see the full potential of Magomedov as a fighter, he didn't seem to prove himself very well in the first place. Number 7. Thiago Silva. Silva didn't necessarily do anything wrong in the ring, but it was more about his unfavorable actions outside the ring that got him banned from the UFC, as an attempt to try and separate the promotion from him. This was following a serious incident in Florida where he allegedly threatened his estranged wife with a gun, which resulted in the arrival of the SWAT team and a 4-hour standoff before the fighter surrendered. After he was arrested, White made a statement saying that he would never fight in the UFC again. Even though all criminal charges against Silva were dropped, the UFC was taking no chances and he is still unable to fight for the promotion ever again. It's a shame because Silva was a good fighter and was popular among fans, but his behavior outside UFC made it hard for the promotion to be associated with him, therefore resulting in the ban. Number 8. Wanderlei Silva. Silva also had his fair share of drama with the UFC. Back in 2014, he was banned for life from the Nevada State Athletic Commission after running away from a drug test. White was furious when hearing this, saying, "Nobody has ever run from a drug test before. Nobody will let him fight. He's in a very serious situation. There's going to be no Hall of Fame offers." It seems that White was very determined not to let Silva fight again, but also knew that other promotions would not look at him after his behavior. Because this is such a serious offense in the sport industry, Silva really did make a decision that affected his entire career, not just his relationship with the UFC. However, the UFC did overturn his ban later, which was a surprising decision and an unexpected one. Although the ban was overturned, Silva never returned, and we aren't really expecting him to after everything that's happened. But at least he has the option. Number 9. BJ Penn. BJ Penn is a former lightweight champion and is known to many as a UFC legend. He really helped in the popularity of the UFC and of the sport itself. From the time he joined the promotion in 2001, he did lose his last 7 fights, however, and had not technically won a fight since 2010. So the UFC's decision to ban him kind of came at the right time. The reason why he got kicked out was also not anything to do with his career, but some videos emerged and went viral online of Penn getting into a street fight in Hawaii. Dana White is strict about the behavior of his fighters, and when he saw the video, he apparently decided that was it. He said he won't ever fight again. That's it. That's a wrap. White even hinted that he wasn't too sad about it because he didn't really want Penn in the company anymore, saying, "I didn't love him continuing to fight anyway. But with the relationship that he and I have, he gets on the phone begging for another fight. It's hard to turn him down." It almost seems like White was looking for an excuse to stop him fighting. So this incident came at the perfect time. Either way, we won't be seeing BJ Penn fighting for the UFC ever again. And finally, number 10, Cody East. East was not super popular in the UFC because many people didn't actually know about him. One thing many do know, however, is that Dana White did not like East. His life outside the UFC was a huge issue for White and ultimately led him to ban East from the UFC because he didn't want his name associated with the promotion. East was constantly being charged or under suspicion for domestic abuse, and it got to the point where White had to ban him. To be honest, it makes sense. One thing's for sure, we probably won't be seeing any more of Cody East. And that concludes today's video of MMA fighters that are forever banned from the UFC. Did we miss any? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And make sure to turn on post notifications so you can be the first to hear about my next video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.